Howdy, folks, and welcome to episode 31 of the Churner's Digest. My name is Alex, otherwise known as Fear the Z. Start with our disclaimer. I'm not a financial or tax advisor. This is not financial or tax advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please enjoy. Show notes on the companion site, fearthez.com. If you want to support me on Patreon, patreon.com/Churner's Digest. Referral page has some referral links of mine. Intro music by Sweaty Lemon. Shout out to Kunk Fewer and Cleed for the Cleed tier. If you want to, feel free to subscribe over at WordPress to get notified when I publish new episodes or new blog posts. And we'll dive into it. Today will probably be kind of quick. Well, my topics are short, but I might rant for a while, so buckle in. We'll see if that happens. We'll start with something that's normally a lightning deal and is normally posted after it's expired, but this one's actually still active. So if you're familiar with the previous runs of Top Cashback giving $2.50 back if you spend $15 or more, that's active currently. That's active until end of day 28th, I believe, February 28th. You can also combine it with the Pure VPN offer, where Top Cashback is offering 130% back on the purchase. So looking at PureVPN's link that Top Cashback has, you can make a purchase for their 1-year plan for $75. You can, for standard, you can do $44.95. Again, it's 130% back, so you get more than you spend. Plus, it should stack with the spend $15, get $250 back. So you could get a pretty decent moneymaker there. And also get some manufacturer spend. It's not a lot, but it's better than nothing. I didn't notice a max out for, it says deals. Grab Pure Max at 81% off plus 4 months extra. If we look at GetVPN, Pure Max, it does not specify if you have to do 2-year, 1-year, or monthly plan, but the 2-year plan max is $108. I mean, if you get all of the $108 back and 30% on top of it, that's almost like $32 plus the $250. So that's like $35 to get paid to use VPN for 2 years. So, I mean, if you don't have a VPN, that's a pretty great offer. And it's sweetened by the fact that you get 30% and then about an extra $250. I normally just buy Google Store gift cards and just get some cash back on it, but this seems like a much better option. Next, we have, as soon as I published my last episode, two pretty huge news updates were published. One of them being, well, the main one being about Capital One. First off, Capital One added real-time lounge capacity information to app, which is very nice. You'll be able to see what the current capacity is as well as the wait list. If you join a wait list and a spot opens up, you're set to text and you have to wait 15 minutes to go into the lounge before your spot is given to somebody else. I mean, I think that's a great feature, especially if it's implemented well. I don't think you can see it unless you're like in person or you're currently on a wait list. So I've had a chance to play with their interface, but next time I go into a lounge, I'll see if it's there for me. But the big Capital One news that happened was Capital One will acquire Discover Financial. Quoting from Doctor of Credit, Capital One will buy Discover Financial Services, according to the Wall Street Journal. It doesn't state it here. Let's see if I can find it really quick. Capital One is going to purchase Discover for more than $35 billion. Looking at Discover's current market cap, I believe they're paying like $1.25 over per dollar. Discover Financial market cap. It has obviously skyrocketed. Actually, yeah, it jumped pretty decently. It was at I don't really know how to tell the market cap on that, but I believe they are buying. Let me look it up. Hold on. Okay, here it is. From Capital One's official release statement, Capital One will be buying Discover at a premium of 26.6 over Discover's closing price of $110.49 on February 16th, 2024. Transaction 100% stock considerations, and Discover shareholders will receive 1.0192 shares for each Discover share, that's where the 26.6% premium comes from. This is, I think, really great news for Capital One, and potentially good news for consumers as well. There's a pretty good write-up that I linked to on Reddit discussing why I agree with this user, and after reading, I've seen other people having the same sentiment, that I don't see this being shot down as antitrust. Already the governing body, I always forget who it is, but just the feds that sue in these cases already consider Visa and MasterCard to be a duopoly in the industry because they take up, I think it's like 80% of the market share of all swipes. And now Discover being only 4%, but Capital One will not only own Discover Bank, but will also own the Discover network. And the Discover network's at 4% of the industry, but in Capital One's press release, they state that is it Q2 2025? Let me see if I can find the exact quote. All right, that took a lot longer than I thought. I forgot that I had actually tuned into the investor relations call. Capital One had a financial investors presentation call on February 20th to discuss this acquisition of Discover. And during it, Richard Fairbank, the CEO of Capital One, was discussing their acquisition and the reason behind it. And he's very well spoken. And I have in the show notes links to both the presentation if you're interested, as well as the slide deck. Presentation being the meeting recording with some great questions, as well as some very detailed information what Capital One plans to do with this acquisition in the slide deck. And within it, Capital One states that Capital One debit portfolio is to be converted to Discover Networks. So they plan on moving their entire debit card portfolio over to the Discover Network. In addition, they state that select Capital One credit portfolios will be converted to Discover Networks. Assumes existing networks debiting and credit pricing, and this conversion is anticipated to begin in Q2 of 2025. So they are stating that by 2022 end of year, that conversion will amount to $1.2 billion in income for Capital One, which is incredible. And I mean, for those people who aren't super familiar with how networks work, essentially, when a card is issued by Capital One, say their debit cards, when that card is used, there are interchange fees that the merchant pays to be able to transact with the network and the bank associated with the card. The bank will get about half of that network fee, and half of that interchange fee, and the network, in this case being Visa or MasterCard, will get the other half. Now that Capital One will be owning both end to end, they like to say synergy a lot, significant synergy opportunities. They will be effectively doubling their profit in this network area, where prior they were making 1.5%, for example, and paying 1.5%, they're now going to be making 3%. So they're actually going from maybe a break even or having a little bit of a profit on it to very vastly growing their profits. This is fantastic for Capital One. And they also, as I said, they call out this credit portfolios. Some will be converted to Discover, and they specifically said selected Capital One credit portfolios to be converted to Discover Networks. I think that this will not be for any of their travel cards, as well as many of their more premium cards, because things like the Venture X as well as the Venture, those are very contingent upon being useful outside of the United States for travel specifically. And Discover's not very well accepted in European countries and a lot of Europe, essentially. They are accepted very well in China as well as Japan. And in this call, they also go very deep, which I thought was interesting. Let's see if they actually say it in the slides. They don't explicitly call it on the slides, but slide 7 does allude to Discover Network has 70 million merchant acceptance points. I mean, that compares to, I'm not sure what other ones are. I'm sure it's vastly outnumbered by them. It also says that there's 200 plus countries and territories welcome the network, 1.8 million global ATMs, 305 million global card users, as well as $550 billion are spent across the network. And they don't state when that's happened or like over what time period. But their CEO, Richard Fairbank, specifically called upon that they don't plan on investing heavily in the Discover network, their acceptance, more at least domestically in the United States, but they plan on honing in more on the perceived acceptance, which I think was a really interesting point that he made. Discover, as far as I've seen in my personal experience, is normally accepted more than American Express is actually accepted, at least in the States, where normally if I see Visa, MasterCard, 9 times out of 10, probably more than 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 10, out of 100, it'll also accept Discover. But sometimes there isn't an American Express. It's very rare that I'll see Visa and MasterCard and American Express, but not see Discover. I'll either see Visa, American Express, Visa, Discover, and MasterCard, Visa and MasterCard only, or all four. So I think that CapOne plans on leaning heavily into their experience in marketing and marketing very well to say, hey, we're moving over to Discover. So I don't know really how they're going to pitch it as being beneficial for the end user, but they're going to say it's accepted everywhere. It shouldn't be a problem. I don't see them making many advancements, at least domestically. They did say that they plan on investing internationally into the network to try and get it more globally accepted. It is very widely accepted. It is said in Japan and China because they have partners with, I forget what the name of the networks are there. But in terms of how this impacts the customer and antitrust, I actually think it'll help. And this is going back to my point I made before, where CapOne's now bringing all of their debit cards over to the Discover network, which obviously wasn't there before. As far as I know, I believe only Discover bank cards, whether it be credit or debit cards or ATM cards, were issued on the Discover network. So now adding CapOne cards to that are going to grow it even more. And I see this helping in terms of the duopoly that exists in the industry, where Discover is now going to become a larger player because CapOne, I think, is by deposits like the 4th largest bank. At least they're top 10 in terms of largest banks in the United States. And this will only help bolster the strong arm, or help alleviate the strong arm that that Visa and MasterCard have in the industry. They also dive in to call out particular impacts that this will have on the company, and by the numbers and card purchase volume. By card purchase volume, the combination of the two will bring them close to American Express, where JP Morgan and Chase is still the highest. But right now, CapOne is sitting at $606 billion purchased in 2023, and Discover was at 218. So put that together is about $800 billion. Next up is American Express, which is at $1.12 trillion, and JP Morgan is at $1.16 trillion. So it just makes them a bigger player in the market. I'm super interested to see what happens. I think it will go through. I'm pretty bullish on CapOne just based on this acquisition. I think it's huge for them, and I think that this network impact is really being underplayed. One thing that I will call out that they made reference to, where is it? They call out 26% of Discover's operating expenses will be phased in over 3 years. I thought phased in. I'm not totally sure what that meant. But when I listened to the call, I thought they were saying that they would be shaving off 26% of the operating expenses. But maybe they're saying that they're only bringing in 26% of those operating expenses and they're shaving off 74%. And they specifically say this excludes marketing. So I'm very curious to see where they find 74% to shave. And I mean, operating expenses are essentially employees. So if you're a Discover employee, best of luck to you. All right, that's enough financials. This isn't really a financial podcast, but I thought this was super interesting. I'm a decent CapOne user. They also have a pretty good sign-up bonus, I think, for the checking account right now, which I'll give a link to as well. Yep, so the checking bonus is for $250. They've done higher ones in the past to the amount of, I think, $400 and $350. I would be surprised if one of those come back again. That was just such a high offer. But that's just my 2 cents. If you're interested, go for it. It's pretty simple. But if not, move along. Next, I got an email, and also Dr. Credit posted about it, but Google announced that Google Pay the app will be shutting down in June. And I mean, this was just a long time coming, to be honest. If we look at the Google graveyard, let's see how long they say that. It hasn't even been updated yet. Google Pay. Nope, Google Pay it's not even on the Google graveyard yet. That's hilarious. But Google Pay it's such a convoluted timeline. Google originally had Google Wallet, which held like your passes for airplanes as well as your cards. And then they converted it to Google Pay, which held, I think, just your cards. And then they converted it to, and then they also offered Google Pay Send, which was also in Google Wallet, where you could send money between friends, so like Venmo or Zelle. And then they carved out Google Pay, the payments in Google Wallet, to Google Pay Send. That was literally the name of the app, Google Pay Send. And Google Pay still existed. And then I think like last year they revamped Google Pay to have shopping portal offers, as well as some like tap to activate offers, similar to like Chase offers and Bank of America offers. And then it was kind of a lull. And then they announced that they're reusing Google Wallet again. And Google Wallet is now where your membership accounts, your NFC payments, your digital wallet payments, as well as your flight passes are in. But the Google Pay app still existed. So that's what this announcement is canceling, this, or is saying that they're no longer supporting, is Google Pay. It wasn't really useful to begin with. I remember Dr. Credit posted a while ago that they had some deals, and I think I partook in them, where you could get some like free money for it, but it was never really useful, and it never really took off the ground. So I'm not surprised to see this, but just yet another Google thing that's being killed. Wow, this is definitely going to be a longer episode. Next, I wanted to give an update on my suspended Venmo account. So just for a timeline, February 12th, I get an email, my account suspended. I think on that day or the day before, I received probably like $1,000 worth of Venmos just for some Airbnbs that I purchased for a flight that's coming, for a trip that's coming up, and some friends reimbursed me for those purchases. I tried to withdraw the money. Venmo suspended my account. The withdrawal was frozen, and I had like $1,100 in the account. Bummer. They asked me to upload documents. Same day, I uploaded the documents, which was a state ID, and then they said they'd get back to me within a week. And lo and behold, exactly a week later, my account was reinstated. They just said, sorry for the inconvenience, your account's been reinstated. Let us know if you need any additional support. So I figured I'd just share that. Hopefully, I mean, now that I've verified, I guess hopefully I won't be dinged ever again, but I guess time will tell. All right, last episode, I left off saying that I approved my Bank of America card, so I froze all my credit bureaus except TransUnion. I was currently at 8 cards in the past 12 months and 5 Bank of America cards. I am platinum status, not platinum honors, with Bank of America. Last time I got an approval from them, they needed me to reallocate some of my credit balance. So when I submitted this application and it went into pending, I assumed it was the same thing. And then I talked about it in the last episode, published a podcast, and I kid you not, maybe like an hour later, I received an email from Bank of America saying, your application has been reviewed but needs some more attention. Actually, that's a lie. I posted the podcast, I think on Monday, and then on Tuesday I called in. They said there was no update. The account hasn't been reviewed yet. And then I think an hour later, that's where the hour comes from. An hour later, I received an email saying that my application was reviewed and they need further information because my bureaus were frozen, even though my TransUnion was unfrozen. The email asked me to either unfreeze Experian or TransUnion and call them back. I didn't do anything because my TransUnion was already unfrozen. I called them up and I said, hey, my TransUnion account is unfrozen. Could you please review the account? The representative was like, oh, hello. Thank you very much. Thank you for being a loyal Bank of America member since, I think, like 2014 or something. They were my first bank account, and I've had the account for forever. And now I have 5 credit cards and 2 IRAs and a personal investment account and a savings and a checking account. So I have a fantastic relationship with Bank of America. And the agent literally said, oh, yes, I'm able to put your credit report now. Of course, everything looks great. You've been approved for X amount, and we did have to reallocate some of your credit balance. So I did not get any new credit extended to me. They just rebalanced from other cards that I already have open with them, which I'm fine with. They did take a lot away from a card that I have that has 0% interest until I think like September, which is a bit annoying. So my utilization is going to go up a bit, but not really a big deal. And I already spent $2,000 in that card because I just booked a hotel and I have some flights coming up too. So I shouldn't have a problem meeting that $6,000 spend in 90 days. I definitely won't have a problem meeting that $6,000 spend in 90 days. All right, next, we finally have closure to the CFPB complaint that I issued. If you don't know what I'm talking about, see episode 26 for the start of this, but I submitted a CFPB complaint against Bank of Missouri on behalf of my Ness account. Since my Ness account was closed, I made a statement credit redemption for $150, which was never credited to me. I sent a bunch of documentation in, didn't hear anything back. My CFPB complaint was forwarded to FDIC. FDIC confirmed that that's the correct bureau to be looking at it. I received a letter from FDIC stating that the Bank of Missouri sent me a letter on February 5th, and that according to FDIC, they have no regulations on credit balances owed to customers. So kind of told me to kick rocks. I called them to tell them that I never received this letter from Bank of Missouri and that they had a previous address of mine on the FDIC complaint. They actually returned my call. They apologized. They said that the address was pulled from my last FDIC account, my last FDIC complaint, and they went and updated it for me, and they told Bank of Missouri to mail me another letter. I think the next day I received the original letter in the mail. It just took really long time. February 5th was mailed apparently, and I think I got it like maybe the 22nd or the 21st. So it took damn near 2 weeks for it to get to me. But I finally got it, and I have a copy of it in the show notes, and I'll read it to you now. Dear Fear the Z, this complaint pertains to a Nesswell account in the name of Fear the Z, issued by the Bank of Missouri and serviced by Ness. In your complaint, you state you redeemed rewards before the specified date and have not received the $150 statement credit. Due to Ness's unforeseen closure, your reward points are no longer available and any scheduled redemptions will not be fulfilled. This applies to all points attempted to be redeemed on. This applies to all points attempted to be redeemed after November 14th, 2023, and is based upon Nesswell ceasing operations. Please refer to the rewards program terms and conditions for additional information related to the cancellation of points awarded. We trust that the explanation noted above should address your concerns. If you have any additional questions regarding your account, you may contact the Bank of Missouri directly at blank, as we now stepped in as the servicer of the account. Thank you. Not signed by anybody. I don't know why, but I want to get this framed. Some poor soul at the Bank of Missouri had to figure out that the Bank of Missouri made an agreement with a fintech fitness company called Nesswell that ceased operations abruptly, and now they're getting a CFPB complaint by some idiot in Massachusetts because they had a $150 statement credit and now had to dig up all this information and send this letter. I think I might call them. I think I might ask them for the terms and conditions. And in addition, something that I found interesting when, let me see, Ness. So they quote November 14th. And looking back at my announcement from Ness, I received a email correspondence from Ness on November 15th stating that my card would no longer be usable at 5 p.m. that day. So, and in that email, they state that we'll do whatever we can to make sure you can redeem your points through November 22nd, 2023. So they're quoting November 14th. That is not only a day prior to the announcement, but which I think is the most damning point of this all, but it is past, it is well before the November 22nd date that Ness said that they would be allowing reward redemptions until. So I might give them a call and see if they have anything to say, but I doubt I'll get anywhere with this. But that's the final update. Sorry, Bank of Missouri, for all the headache, but I think I have rights to my account. And I want to see if they'll send me the rewards program terms and conditions for additional information. We'll see. I'll give them a call and see what they say. All right, next, I shared that KeyPoint gave me a double deposit for my credit card funding, and they finally withdrew the funds. So I saw a withdrawal for reversal, double funded initial deposit is what the exact line item stated. And I should have pulled this up earlier, but let me pull up KeyPoint. I also replied, like there's an option to send a message in regards to particular transactions in the KeyPoint app. And I did that just trying to play naive. And I was like, why was this money withdrawn from my account? And they said that the representative just accidentally deposited the money twice, which, I mean, yeah, that is what happened. So yes, bank errors never happen. That's just happens in Monopoly. I'm trying to log into my KeyPoint account right now to see what date this actually happened because I did not write that down. I funded the account on February 2nd, and it took them until February 21st to notice that they gave me an extra $2,500. So there was just a hole in some account for $2,500. And this was on 2/21/2024. All right, next, just something that JC Mitchell called out on the Simple Finance Discord, but I wasn't aware. I've talked about before, especially with my Curve play, that Bank of America allows you to network change your customized cash rewards cards to either MasterCard or Visa, and that's useful because Curve only supports MasterCard, and actually Curve will come up in a little bit here, but actually as our next talking point. But Bank of America will also allow you to convert your Ultimate Cash Rewards or your Ultimate Rewards card, UR card, to Visa or MasterCard as well, even though I don't think publicly a MasterCard variant is offered by that or for that, just the Visa. But in case you wanted a MasterCard, you can get one. It isn't really useful in my case because I get 4.5% on all transaction using customized cash rewards card as a MasterCard set to online shopping within my Curve card. So getting 2.25% wouldn't really be useful to me, but it's nice to know that is an option. All right, as I said, there was some cool discussion about Curve as well as percents on our credit cards that I wanted to call out here. And I actually did a write-up about Curve and percents a little while ago that's also linked in the show notes. But it's nice to read. I don't know, it's not nice, but it's interesting to read about people's thoughts on these cards. They're pretty niche, as well as people, percents was super niche. That only survived for a couple months. And user Coop Dude did a pretty fantastic write-up about Curve and why, like, what the product even is and why it didn't work, and comparing to things between Curve and percents. And I actually replied to it and said, nice job. And I had a little nitpick on some exact timelines of things. But if you're interested, I thought it was a pretty interesting read in this thread on Reddit, and just thought I'd call it out if anybody's interested. It's in the show notes as well. Next, I mean, everyone's probably heard about this. I'm not going to cover it too much, but a bunch of airlines have decided to increase their checked bag fees, including United, American, and JetBlue. I think I just purchased a flight on American with a checked bag. I know I just did to Boise, but I think I did not do a checked bag. I did an overhead bag, and I flew SunTrust, and I had to buy an overhead bag. Yeah, that's how it was. So, I mean, this won't impact me too much. I normally don't fly with checked bags, but no one likes to see fees going up, so that kind of sucks. Next, I don't believe that they announced why yet, but AT&T had an outage on their network for a couple of hours the other day, and they decided they're going to compensate any affected customers with $5 onto their bill. I mean, it's better than nothing, but that's still not great. You would rather just have your phone work. And they stated that this will credit your account within 2 billing cycles. So I guess look forward to that. It also does not apply to AT&T Business, prepaid services, or Cricket. It's low-cost wireless service. All right. Next, we have a GuitarCenter update. Now, if you remember, I gave an update on this. Or, well, not an update. The first time I shared about this was in episode 26. But essentially, I made a purchase for a drum set, a cymbal set from GuitarCenter back in September. Kept getting delayed. Got, I think, $100 total refunded. And New Year came. I got assigned a new rep because my rep got promoted. The new rep was actually pretty terrible. He's not great at communicating, doesn't reply to emails. I then received, let me see if I can find it. I received a notification from Bank of America that my a transaction to GuitarCenter was declined. And it was from GuitarCenter on February 9th. I received a notification saying, unfortunately, we ran into an issue with your payment method. Please call us to give us an alternative method. And I guess I should have called, but instead of doing that, I received this email at 2:09 a.m. on February 9th. On February 9th at 6:16 a.m., I emailed my personal representative in a thread that we've been having communications, in which he did not reply back on January 15th. So I replied to my email from January 15th on February 9th saying, I saw a decline for a GuitarCenter purchase. The card that you have has expired because it's been, again, 6 months at this point, and that card had just expired. I gave him my new expiration date, gave him the new CVV, and I said, if you need the full card information, please give me a call. Thanks, Alex. Heard nothing. I then received an email 11 days later. Items canceled in your order. We're sorry, but the credit card you provided has been declined and we're unable to resolve the payment issue. If you would like to reorder, you can call us at this number. Cancel items, the one symbol that I'm waiting for. So very angrily, I called, tried to be as calm as possible. I got a new guy. I got a new representative. I first called Dez, my representative. Didn't pick up. Left the voicemail. I called the generic number. I got Paul. Paul was extremely professional, very friendly. I sat there and explained to him my whole saga. He said, I'm so sorry this happened to you. He said that my original representative, David, was his manager. And Dez works with Paul and also has David as his manager. So this is a little coup in GuitarCenter of ineptness. Paul said, I'm sorry this happened. Listen, Pasty, this is a Pasty symbol. We tell them, hey, we want 25. A month later, we get 10. And we go, hey, we're the other 15. Oh, you'll get it in 4 months. 4 months come, we only get 3. So he understood. That's the first time anyone has ever told me exactly what the situation happens with Pasty, which was very nice of him, which helped de-escalate with me a little bit, which is what he obviously wanted. Told me that he'll talk to, he said, yeah, it looks like your order was canceled. We can place a new one for you. So I'm like, listen, I've now been waiting 6 months. If we replace this order now, where do I fall in this back list of back ordered items? Because you just explained to me that there's a bunch of other people waiting. He specifically told me that there are like 12 other people waiting. Some people made the order back in 2022, end of 2022, waiting for this cymbal. He told me that I would be 7th in line if he placed the order, and I would have been 5th. And I'm like, dude, listen, I've waited 9 months. I've waited 6 months. It's not my fault. I emailed Dez, telling him that I changed the card I had got declined because it expired. That's not my fault. You need to honor the order in line that I had before. He talked to David, emailed me back and said, I'm working with David to work the cymbal situation sorted out so we can get you the cymbal at a reasonable amount of time, bring him out of retirement. Here are my normal hours. Contact me if you need to. And for your troubles, I'll give you a free drum sticks. So all in all, I've gotten like $120 off of these $209 cymbals. I think I deserve the goddamn cymbals for free at this point. Every time I think of this, it pisses me off, and I am not direct enough on the call and just telling him that I need this shit for free. Excuse my language. I try not to curse on here. God, it pisses me off so much. I need to call him again or something. My brother's just adamant about saying just cancel the order. It's not meant to be. Cancel the order. But at this point, we're not getting these cymbals for $100. Actually, now that I think about it, the $250 refunds that I got from them were direct refunds to my card. They're not on the future pending order that I have not paid for yet. So maybe if I cancel this, I'll just get to keep the $100 and the drumsticks. I don't know. I figured I'd just give that. I got to move on about this because it's just pissing me off. Only a couple of things left anyway. Next, called this out a couple episodes ago, but there's a Wells Fargo sign-up bonus. I was waiting for my 12-month clock to tick over. I got this bonus on... I'm not prepared as usual. Please excuse my rambling. Wells. You know what's really interesting? You can hide columns in... Nope, not that one. You can hide columns in Google Sheets. And then when you search, you can find things that are within hidden columns. So I see cell A72 says Wells Fargo. A72 pertains to my sign-up bonus for everyday checking, in which I opened the account on November 25th and closed it on May 1st of 2023, opened in 2022. But I see here that I received the bonus on February 24th. Since it is a 12-month clock of when the account was credited the bonus, which was February 24th, and it is now February 26th, I am eligible for the sign-up bonus. So I went through, I signed up for the account. There is no promo code as long as you go through the link on Doctor of Credit, which is just the generic link on Wells Fargo's site. The promo code will automatically be applied. When you are approved, which I was, it will tell you specifically that the account you opened is eligible for the bonus, which mine was. The bonus is $325 in 90 days. When you deposit $1,000 or more in direct deposit $1,000 or more in 90 days for $325, and please allow 30 days for the bonus to post. In my case, I can definitely find my data point. Let me go take a look. All right, digging up my own data point. As I said, open the account November 25th, 2022. Real direct deposit December 2nd, 2022. Real direct deposit December 16th, 2022. Bonus was paid on February 24th, 2023. So that is exactly 4 months, which is 90 plus 30. So I expect to receive this bonus on June 26th-ish of this year. It's pretty easy. You do have to hold $500 in the account to keep it free, or direct deposit $500 per month. Definitely read the terms of Doctor of Credit for all the information, but that's a pretty great bonus. You can do it every year. Easy to satisfy. And there are some accounts that qualify as direct deposit with them, as Doctor of Credit has listed, including, waiting for Doctor of Credit to load, Waiting for Doctor of Credit to load. A lot of things. Oh boy. Bank of America push counts. Cash App looks like it counts. Some of these might be old. Fidelity looks like it works. Santander looks like it works. Robinhood works. PNC works. Venmo works. Wealthfront does not work. So if you have any of those accounts, free direct deposit. And finally, just as I was recording this, Dr. Credit posted a post about a Moomoo sign-up bonus. So Moomoo is a bonus that... Moomoo is a stock brokerage app. And they've done some deposit bonus in the past. And this one is specifically for their savings account, where Moomoo's offering 5.1% APY on interest rate plus a bonus of 3% during the first 3 months for new users who have never made a deposit before. Requires activation. This is assuming you're already earning 5.1%, which you can earn on in accounts like Wealthfront. This is really a bonus of 0.75% because it's 3 months is 0.25% of your year at 3%, which is 0.75%. And also, Sean, who I've seen plenty of times in Dr. Credit comments, does note that the terms specifically state that the baseline APY of 5.1% with the 3% booster only applies to up to $20K. In addition to new users could receive 15 free stocks of making a deposit of $1,000 or more and maintain for 60 days. Bonus term for new users, including the APY booster and free stock, can be found here. So this really amounts to, if you max out the $20,000 deposit, in addition to the 5% that you would already be earning, you get an extra 3%, and that's a value of $150 for those 3 months. Not bad. I mean, if you're already parking cash places, your max bonus is $150. I think it's pretty great. You could also do the stock bonus of 15 stocks. I don't think this has a referral for stacking purposes, and I don't think the referrals are pretty great right now, so I won't be sharing it. But all right, that's it for today. This definitely went on longer than I thought. You can always reach out to me at Fear the Z or at churnersdigest.com. And that's it. Thanks for listening. Have a nice week.